Hi everyone. Let's imagine you got a brand new Linux system and you've got Visual Studio Code installed, but you want to set it up so it works better with C++. What we're going to do is install some extensions for Visual Studio Code and also configure it so it defaults to the Google C++ style, and then finally set up the snippets so it works better with what we need to do in Computer Science 120 at Cal State Fullerton. To start all this off, we're going to need to have a web browser and a terminal. The web browser will open first, and in the description of this video there's some links. The first link is for extensions, for setting up the extensions and the style, and if you copy and paste that link into your web browser, and so I've already copied it, I'm going to paste it in and open up that page. This is a shell script that's going to do all the installation for us so that we don't have to do too many. I don't have to make a long video about what menus to click. So the easiest way to get this onto your computer is to use the command line to download the file. So let's open up a terminal, and you can go down to Show Applications, type terminal, and that will open up a new terminal for you. And it's probably super convenient if you right-click on this icon and say Add to Favorites, so that way it's always there in the bar, so that way if you close this terminal you can still come back over here and click on it. You don't have to go through that whole process of finding it under Show Applications. In the same vein, you can also remove these extra icons that you never use so that you have a much leaner favorites bar. So once I have my terminal open, I come back over here, and the way we're going to download this is we're going to click on the button, the raw button, and then we're going to come over here and copy this link. And then in the terminal, I'm going to type WGET space, and then I'm going to right click and paste that link. What that does is it downloads this file that we have in the web browser onto our computer. So if we type ls, you'll see that we now have this new file. This file is a shell script, and it's going to do the installation, like I said, for the extensions and setting up the Google C++ style as the default for Visual Studio Code. To make this go, we type bash, B-A-S-H, space, and then the name of the file, VS Code extensions and style.sh, and you enter. So it's going to tell you that it's going to install some extensions. The extensions are Microsoft CPP Tools, Microsoft CPP Tools Extension Pack, and Microsoft CPP Tools Themes, and also their hex editor. So if you want to install these extensions, you say yes. It's going to try to install each one. Now you might see some warnings. You can ignore that. That has more to do with Microsoft's end of the bargain with their repository of code than our computer, so ignore all those warning messages. And then the next prompt is, do you want to install, do you want to set the default style to Google C++ style? And the answer is yes, and it will configure it. Now, I already had some configuration set up for my Visual Studio Code file. I've already set up my Visual Studio Code program with some defaults, so it made a backup of my configuration. So in case I don't like the changes I've made, I can always undo the changes because the backup file is there. And if you read that closely, I'll tell you where the backup file is saved. But once I've done this, well, I've got the extensions installed, I've got the style defaulting to Google C++ style, but I also want to set up my snippets. I've noticed a lot of students are having difficulty with the header for their files, and a snippet allows us to use like a code word to type in a short code word and then push tab, and it'll expand out to a much larger piece of text. So there's another link in the description of this video. If you paste that into the address bar, it will take you to another file that I posted onto GitHub. And this is the actual instruction. This is like the actual snippets that we need to put inside of Visual Studio Code. So let's start Visual Studio Code. Come over here to Show Applications, and we can look for code by typing it in. And that's going to put it over here in our favorites bar. So we'll right-click on that and say Add to Favorites, so it's always there. Now, personally, I prefer to have it above my terminal, so I'll just edit it. I can think if I click on it and then drag. Oh, maybe if I click away. There we go. If I click and drag, I can move it above my terminal. You can order them however you want. So once I have Visual Studio Code open, what I want to do is I want to get this stuff into the settings for Visual Studio Code. We have to use a menu, so we go over to File, we scroll down to Preferences, and then we look for Configure User Snippets. So again, that's the File menu, then to Preferences, and then Configure User Snippets. Once you select that, it's going to pop up this other menu. Now, yours might not be in the same order as mine, so what we're looking for is the word cpp.json. Now, in my case, it's the first one, but it might not be for you. So if it's not, the easiest way you can find it is just type cpp, and you'll see it limits it to only the things with cpp in it. And so you select cpp.json, cpp.json. And then it's going to show you the contents of the file cpp.json. Right now it's empty, it doesn't have any snippets in it. So what we want to do, and I'm just making this bigger because it's got, you can see that it just has a whole lot of stuff in it, but it doesn't have anything useful. So let me make this a little narrower. What we're going to do is we're going to come to our web browser. Again, click on Raw. We want to get all of this in there. So to make sure that we select everything, just right click here and say Select All. That didn't work. Let's try that again. Not working. So we very carefully select everything. Right click, say Copy. Come back over here, select everything, delete it, and then paste. Uh-oh, something went wrong. No bother. No worries, because we'll come back over here. Let's try that again. Select all. Not this time it worked. Right click again with copy. Come back over here, and we paste. So now I've got the same thing in both windows. Now, what this does is it puts a snippet, and you can see that there's one snippet called CPSC header, another one called MS main, and another one called pound include system header. Each one of them have a code word. In this case, it's INC, MAI for MS main, and for the CPSC header, it's CPSCH, as in header. So we need to save this file. Notice it has a little dot there. That means it's not saved. So if I go File, Save, I now have saved all my snippets into a file, and I can use them when I'm programming. Let's put this to use. So I'll go back to my, I will go back to my terminal, and I will create a new file. Let's say we want to write a Hello World program. I'll call it helloworld.cc, and that will create a new file for me. So let's imagine we're doing this for a homework assignment. We're going to use that code word CPSCH to create the header file, or the header for this file. And notice it already is telling you that code word, that snippet exists. So I can type out the snippet, the prefix, the code word for the snippet, push tab, and I'll fill it in. Now notice that your name is highlighted. I can type out my name. Push tab, it goes to the next thing. Let's pretend I'm in section 3. Go to the next one. Today's date is 10/25/2022. Push tab, my email address is mshafay. Push tab, my GitHub login is mshafay. And this is lab, let's imagine it's lab 07 part 2. And my partners, let's imagine that I'm working with Tuffy Titan, and I'll give a brief description. This is a Hello World program that says hello, and push tab. So now we've got a header that's correct all the time. It will save you time. Let's add a pound include for IOStream because we want to print out a message. And remember, we had that snippet for pound includes, and that was INC. So if I type INC and then push tab, well, it defaults to IOStream. Perfect. Push tab again. I want to write a main function, so I use that other snippet, which is MAI, push tab, and there I have it. My Hello World program is written for me. And then I can just save my work, go up to the File menu, say Save. It saved it. Now let's try compiling it. Go back to my terminal. You can see the files right here, helloworld.cc. I'm going to try compiling it. Clang++. You don't have to say the standard C++17, but that's what we're using this semester. Great, it compiled it. Now I can run it. It worked. So the whole point of the snippets is it saves you time, and it's very accurate because it's repeatable. Now you might say, do I need to type in my name each time? Well, gosh, you can come back over here and you can change these things to be your name. So let's imagine that you're Tuffy Titan. Well, now we've set that to always be Tuffy Titan. And if your email address doesn't change, we can just change this to Tuffy Titan. And if Tuffy Titan's GitHub never changes too, you can change this to Tuffy Titan. Change it to the things that you use, and it would be a good idea to go back through these numbered things and change them so that they're in order, but I think it works just fine without changing it. But if you run into any problems, just ask a teaching associate or your instructors to help you out. Now, don't forget, if you see the dot up there, that means you need to save it. So you say File, Save. And that's it. That's how we get the C++ extensions installed, get the Google C++ styles defaulted as a default style for Visual Studio Code, and to get the snippets set up. You can add your own snippets if you want to. Just follow the pattern here to write this out in this format, and it'll work just fine. Hope you found that helpful.